You are one video away from reaching your first 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. And I say this with all the confidence because I'm proof that this is possible. About 2 weeks ago, my small channel was sitting at less than 500 subscribers after a whole year of posting. And then I posted this video and I reached 1,000 subscribers in a little over 10 days. And for context, after 7 years of creating content and scaling my first brand to 6 figures, I was so close to giving up on YouTube. I felt like maybe I'm not cut out for this, maybe I just can't get YouTube right. But I'm so glad I stuck with it because today in this video, I will share with you exactly what I did differently this time around so you can get your own channel to that much deserved 1,000 subscribers. It all starts with one idea. The direction you give that idea is what will make a difference on whether you will reach a lot of people or a very small audience. So for example, in my case, I wanted to make a reflection video about YouTube and I could have approached it in many different ways. But by approaching it as YouTube changed my life with less than 500 subscribers, I still reached my ideal audience of small creators of, YouTube channels with less than 500 subscribers. But I tapped into like a very broad universal desire people have, which is they want YouTube to change their lives. And so this is why the video had a wide appeal and reached a wider audience. If I had gone for something like what it means being 1 year on YouTube after quitting my 6-figure business, or maybe what I learned to be on YouTube as a mom of 2, obviously that would have attracted a much smaller audience. Think of it this way, you are the director of your content, and if you want it to be more visible, you need to shape it in a way that attracts a broader audience. But don't worry, there is a way to give more niche topics a larger appeal, and this is what I want to talk to you about next. I want you to think about your video as a work of art. You're the artist and you need to find a good frame that will give your work of art the visibility it deserves. And on YouTube, you can do this with 3 things. 1, your title, 2, your thumbnail, and 3, your hook or your intro, which is the first 20 to 30 seconds of your video. Getting all of these 3 things right is crucial to make sure that your video will get watched. And I used to overcomplicate title, thumbnail, and hooks so much because I kept looking at them as very different things, like as if they were separate from each other. Instead, I suggest you to look at them as one unique identity. One cannot coexist without the other, and you should not create them individually. You have to create them together as a whole after you decided on the direction of your video and before you script a single word. So let's have a look at the first element, the title. Having studied countless videos, I've noticed that the title, the thumbnail, and the hook all have 2 things in common. Number 1, they speak to an audience's deepest desires. And number 2, they create curiosity, usually by either using power words, by being very specific, or by using conversational language that is really relatable to your audience. And so let's start by having a look at the title of my video, How YouTube Changed My Life. This is tapping into my audience's deepest desires of changing their lives. And adding with less than 500 subscribers makes it feel more relatable, more real, and relevant to my audience of channels that have less than 500 subscribers. Now, if you know your audience well enough, it will be quite easy to come up with titles that really tap into their deepest desires and really speak their language and what it is that it's going to resonate with them. However, if you don't, here's a trick you can follow in order to find successful titles that are going to give your video a better chance of being clicked on. Simply go on the YouTube homepage and you will start to notice patterns, with some titles repeated over and over. For example, you may see titles such as Give me X minutes and I'll help you do Y, or How to do X better than 99% of people, or The truth or the secret about something I wish I knew sooner. These titles work across niches and will give your video a better chance of being clicked on because they tap into audience psychology. And your job is to pick one title that works best for your niche, for your audience, and for your topic. Now, let's have a look at the next piece of your video frame, your thumbnail. The number 1 mistake I see creators make is that they repeat the title in the thumbnail. And this is a mistake because what you're doing is you're wasting precious real estate that you could use in your thumbnail to really attract even more attention and really give an extra reason for your viewer to click on your video. And even if you don't make this mistake, I think as creators sometimes we overcomplicate thumbnails so much, spending all of this time on very complex graphics. So let's simplify this. Your thumbnail's job is the one to complement your title, because remember, you need to think about them as a whole, not as separate pieces. This could be a sentence or a visual, but regardless, you need to make sure that it ticks these boxes. One, again, it should appeal to your audience's deepest desires. And so in my case, my thumbnail had a sentence that said, "It's worth it." And this really tapped into my audience's desire to feel that YouTube is worth it. Number two, clarity. So my photo was clean, clutter-free, and the sentence stood out against a clean background. And then number three, curiosity. So there was a picture of me with my baby, which evoked a feeling of calmness, which I think went hand in hand with the title, and the fact that I was holding a baby might have sparked some extra curiosity. And then number four, standing out. I think this thumbnail stood out because I hand wrote the title using Procreate, and I think this really made the video pop out a bit more in my niche, which is marketing, branding, where usually you see very, very flashy thumbnails with like bright yellow headlines. And so having a look at the title and the thumbnail, we can now move on to the next section, which is the hook. Now, the hook or the intro is represented by the first 20 to 30 seconds of your video. And I'm sure you already know how important it is, because if your viewers drop in those first crucial 20 to 30 seconds, then they're just not going to watch the rest of the video, and the views will tank and your video will have a lower reach. And I think the hook is one of the parts where creators struggle the most, purely because we know it's so important, and so we tend to overthink what we need to say. Like in my case, I thought that I needed to be super clever and super witty in order to really make my hook stand out and grab attention. And so that led me to write hooks that sounded kind of nice on paper, but didn't really connect with my audience. And so what I've learned is that clarity and emotional resonance matters way more than trying to sound smart. So here's the rule I follow now. The hook should tick these three boxes. Number one, confirm the viewer that they're in the right place, that they are going to get what they clicked for. And this can be as simple as making sure that your thumbnail is matching the first frame of the video. Number two, opening a curiosity gap to make sure that the viewer wants to keep watching. And number three, intentionally positioning the video for the viewer and not just about yourself. So let's have a look at how I did this in this video. Number one, confirmation. The first frame matches the thumbnail, and I start by saying, I started this YouTube channel about a year ago, and as I'm recording this video, I'm sitting at less than 500 subscribers. This confirms the viewer that they're in the right place because it matches the title and the thumbnail. Number two, make it about the viewer. I said, and yet sometimes it feels like we are shouting into the void. Here, I'm addressing a common pain points that my ideal audience has, and so it's even more clear that this video is for them. And number three, open a curiosity gap. I said, YouTube genuinely changed my life, and in today's video, I want to tell you all about it, and I want to tell you how it can change your lives too. So obviously saying it changed my life, and I want to share how it can change your life too, opens a curiosity gap. Think of it this way. What you're doing is putting upfront what your viewer wants to hear so that you can deliver what they need within your content, which takes me to the next section. And we're back with baby, who's now 3 months and almost is not going to fit in the videos anymore. How am I going to record the next videos? Okay, let's talk about the content. There are hundreds of thousands of people likely talking about the same thing that you want to talk about. How do you make your content not sound like everyone else's? In my opinion, and it's something I've experimented with that video, is that it all comes down to leaning into yourself. And I know this sounds vague and very abstract, so let me break it down for you. You will do this through 3 key elements: your story, your uniqueness, and your opinions. Number one, your story. You want to differentiate what you say through storytelling, because that's what's going to set you apart. Not only is going to provide your viewer with the necessary context to really understand your content, but it's also important to build the necessary trust that your audience needs to gain to keep listening to you. And you should be doing this right after your hook. For example, in my video, I shared how I quit my 6-figure business, which I think added a layer of context and credibility to what I was about to share next. But let's talk about credibility for a second, because I truly think that credibility doesn't necessarily come from you being a guru, an authority in your niche. Credibility comes from accepting where you are in your journey. So say that you already are an authority. For example, you're a doctor, you are a certified accountant, then of course make sure that you lean into it. If you are a small channel and if you don't have some sort of authority to back you up, I think it's way more smart to lean into your learning journey and you building in public, because people are much more likely to trust and click on a video of a small channel that says something like, I tried this growth strategy, here's what happened, versus one that says, this is the best YouTube strategy to grow fast and blow up your channel, when your channel is so small and you haven't got results from it. Showing up as you are is the biggest opportunity you have to really make sure that your content is authentic and trustworthy. And this takes me to the next point, your uniqueness. By uniqueness, I mean your unique characteristics. This could be a quirk, a flaw, or a strength. And I think identifying them and really being aware of them and not hiding them is crucial. So for example, for me, it's the fact that I didn't try to hide the fact that I have a baby to take care of and I've got a baby strapped on me. And in the beginning, I did struggle with it. I thought people are going to just think that I'm a stay-at-home mom and I've got no credibility. And I almost gave up on filming. And instead, I rewired this limiting belief and showed up as I am. And I truly think that in that video, leaning into myself made my content stand out a little bit more and also made it more relatable to my audience. Maybe some of you have kids or some of you simply have limited time and can relate to the struggle of having to film if you have got limited time and limited resources available. And so remember, the most powerful thing that you can do is show up as you are and remove any expectations that you think people are going to have of you. In short, you need to unbrand yourself. Remove that expectation that you think people have of you and of your brand and show up as your unapologetic self. The more that you show up as yourself, the easier it will be to get those raw, honest opinions that you have out of your own head. And opinions are so crucial to make your content stand out because they're what's gonna stir something in people. So here's how you can do that with your content. When you're writing your content, make sure that at the end of every key section, there is a clear takeaway that your audience can walk away with. And at the end of the video, there is like a grand takeaway, a grand payoff that closes the loop that you've opened at the beginning of the video. For example, in my video, I had several different takeaways after each section. Things like, that's the whole reason why it's called YouTube. It's because people want to see more of you. Or success is not guaranteed just because you previously had success doing something similar. And each of these opinions built up towards the end, the grand payoff of the video, which was YouTube is a journey worth staying on. And at the end of the day, people may not remember every single thing that you say, but they definitely will remember how you made them feel. And I think this is what sparked a lot of engagement. And that engagement is what gave that video the chance of getting pushed out by the algorithm and reaching even more people. And so when you're thinking about what you want to say in your content, really think also about how you want to make people feel. So many content creators think that in order to make it on YouTube, they just need to go viral. But I want you to reframe the concept of virality with the concept of visibility. And that visibility sits in the intersection between making a video that is for your ideal audience and it's delivered in a way that's uniquely yours. And I think this comment that one of you left below the video really explains so well what virality really is. Virality is where you get to be yourself as an offering to others. And so for your next video, ask yourself, how can I make this topic more visible and how can I make myself more visible? And yes, it won't be easy. It may involve a bit of trial and error and getting 1% better each time. But trust me, it'll be worth it because it only takes one video to get the visibility you deserve.